behaviorist. I think that's really cool. Let me see. Oh, we should be live.
It looks like it.
Yeah, look at that. We're live.
The light's
Cool.
on.
The lights, exactly. The light's on, and now I've got a little pop-up here saying that we are in fact live. So fantastic. All right. Well, everybody, I want to thank you so much for joining me. Everybody who's listening here, who's catching the beginning of this for us as we get live here, I want to thank you for joining for what is now episode number 70 of Talking About Horses. And as you can see, I am joined in this episode by Jim Masterson. Wait a second. So
Hello,
actually,
everyone.
we're waiting on Jim. Jim got stuck in traffic, so he's going to be a few minutes late today. But I am joined by our extra special guest today, Miss Callie King. So Callie, welcome. Thank you so much for joining Jim and I when Jim arrives for this episode of Talking About Horses.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here, and congratulations to you and your viewers because you said this is episode number 70.
Yeah, episode. I didn't even realize that until we were going through the little bit of prep here to give the introduction on this. I said, "Wow, I've done that many already," and it's been several years that I've been doing this. I don't do them very consistently, at least not anymore. But so it is pretty great to think about how we've done. This will be number 70. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So it's been a journey,
Awesome.
and a journey of figuring it out. Somebody was asking me recently about getting started with the podcasts, and it's so funny because in the very early ones, it was so terrible. It was when I first did them, you could do a phone call. Basically, you could do just an audio broadcast through Facebook. And then when they took that out, and I started the podcast to connect with other trainer friends that we never get a chance to meet. We never get a chance to interact because at the time I was on the road full time. And so it was everybody would, we would pass like ships in the night and never get the opportunity to actually visit, because everybody's so busy. And so I said, well, let's do phone calls and catch up and let the world hear it. And that worked out pretty well until Facebook ended the option to do audio only. And then it was so rather pathetic. But I had several broadcasts where it was literally the camera on me at a desk, on the phone, on speakerphone, because I had no idea how to do any of this technology. So the audio on those first several is terrible. But then I got it sorted out and figured out how to do it through Zoom and now through Riverside so that we've got more interactability and that sort of thing. But it's been a journey. It's been a journey. So, and actually funny because you and I were talking about the idea of digital learning and things like that before we got started live here. So you've had quite an adventure and an experience with learning online.
Yes. Well, it's amazing that this is possible and that, we can come together with two masters like yourself and with Jim. And for those of you that maybe don't know, I have Horse Class. We're an online education and publishing company. And separately, we did a course first with you, Patrick, in I think it was 2016 or 2017 that we first created the course, the first version of it. And then we did one with Jim. We started filming in 22, and it was kind of a stage project for gentle body work. So it's really exciting to have the collaboration happening today when Jim comes in. But I know for myself on this topic, because when I was writing what I want to send out to the horse class community, inviting them to come to this episode, and I was thinking just of some of my learning moments as a trainer and just as a horse person where I realized that issues are not all solved by training alone. And there was one in particular. I went to a class called Is It Physical or Psychological? It was with Dr. Sue McDonald, who's an excellent veterinary behaviorist. She was working at the time at New Bolton Center. And when I went in, I was the only person that wasn't a vet. So that surprised me and, made me realize I was in for something even more than what I expected. Different kind of
Right.
experience. Because
Right.
not only was I the only person that was not a vet, but most of the vets there worked with other species. They worked with exotic animals, zoo animals, which I know you have a background there too.
Hmm.
Some had small animal practices. So the way that they looked at solving problems was very distinct than I think sometimes what we do as horse people. And one of the first case studies that we looked at in this class was a mare that had been showing a lot of aggressive behaviors. And that's why eventually they called in the behaviorist. She was showing a lot of aggression, mostly when being handled on the ground, also under saddle. And when she was around people, like there wasn't any lameness, there wasn't any known injuries that she had, palpating her back. It wasn't like she was immediately dropping her back out and showing a lot of soreness. What they did is they put an 8-hour video on her, a surveillance video. And
Okay.
when we were in the class, we started watching this and we started watching it on fast forward. And I think there was a moment in that video, probably about 30 minutes into watching it on fast forward, that has changed how I think about horses. Because in the first 30 minutes, people were around the barn, there was activity, the mare was at the front of her stall. It was, you're just watching what we are used to seeing, a horse moving around its stall and sticking its head out the door now and then and looking at people. As soon as the lights went down, people started leaving for the day, the last groom left, this mare went to the back of the stall and it looked like a tortured horse. She was shifting her weight, she was pushing her head into the wall. I mean, all really obvious pain signals.
Yeah.
We continued watching it. Another few hours went by. Someone came in to do a night check. Instant the lights flipped on. She was right up at the front of the stall looking alert and
Uh,
okay. And it just, we know these things that horses hide pain and their prey species and all of this, but
yeah.
seeing it on this video and seeing what the horse was doing when we weren't there, it just totally changed and humbled me really of how many things I had been pushing and pushing and pushing on, thinking it
Mm,
was just, I needed a training breakthrough.
right.
Um, and it was something totally different.
Wow. Wow. That's Yeah, boy, how enlightening something like that, right? But yeah, and humbling, like you say, humbling to see that
Yeah.
because when none of that is shown, well, and how can you see it if it isn't shown, right? So the idea of the cameras in there, such a great idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Doing that work with the camera is something that we started implementing with any of the horses that would come in for training with those kinds of behavioral problems. And honestly, it's I think what really led me down the road of seeking out. What led me to your work, doing the in hand work, what led me then to Jim's work, and just looking for more and more of how do we solve problems not just through quote unquote training our way out of it, but
Mhm.
by really helping the horse feel better and addressing the the physical side, which is an important piece of training.
Right, absolutely. Absolutely, because that can often be, for so many of us, it can be that thing that uh, gets in the way. And how many times do you hear somebody say, "Oh, well, we've ruled out pain,"
Hmm.
right? Or we've ruled out physical issues. And how often can we think that we have,
Hmm.
right? And I think maybe better to be said, we think that we've ruled out pain, or we think that um, yeah, because like in the case with this mare that you're talking about,
Hmm.
seeing the behavior when nobody's around is a completely different story. Um,
Hmm.
that's fascinating. That's really fascinating.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. That's really awesome. I'm looking on here to see where apologize if I look like I'm distracted here. It's because I am mildly distracted looking at seeing if there's a message from Jim when he's coming up. Yeah, I don't have anything from him yet. So, um,
Yeah, he said he was caught in Iowa traffic.
in Iowa
And
traffic, yeah, I don't know what that means. He's stuck between the corn rows or what? Oh man.
I told him what my mom likes to say is drive fast and dangerous.
There you go. There you go. That's funny. Oh my gosh,
So,
that's funny. But yeah, I was just telling somebody the other day too, talking about horse class and talking about this whole idea of the online learning and online teaching. I do so many virtual lessons now,
mhm,
and it's funny. I think I do 20, 25 of them a week on average now. Like the calendar is full with that, and with training horses and clinics and things like that. But there was a time going into it that Jim's having a hard time finding the link. I need to send this to him again. But but there was a time going into the idea of the virtual learning and the virtual lessons that I didn't think that we could see as much as we can.
mhm,
And I find out that, boy, we can see just as much with the virtual lessons, for the most part, just as much as what we can in person. And so it just surprised me there how much we can see and how much we can coach from that. And it takes me back to that.
mm,
I'll call it the humbling moment when you harassed me for how long to produce the first in hand course, the balance in hand course
mm,
that we did. And I remember thinking, there's no way we can teach this stuff online. There's no way people can learn this online. People struggle to learn this in person. How are we going to do this online? How are we going to do this virtually, like through the phone, through the computer, that sort of thing? And you kept harassing me about it. You kept on me about it. And I'm glad that you did, because my gosh, the horses that have been helped through that, the people that have been helped through that, the
mhm.
amount of learning, it's even opened up my own willingness to learn online and to be taught that way as well. It's been a game changer. It really has. Yeah. So thank
Yes.
you. I guess that's a long story to say thank you for pushing me on, and continuing to do what you do. And now through horse class, you guys have several courses available. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we do. We, keep looking to cover the
Oh, here we
major
are.
areas. There he is. Hi, Jim.
Perfect. Hey, everybody, look who's here.
Hey, am I on?
You are on. We are live. I hope you fixed
I
your
was
mic.
looking for a Zoom. I was looking for a Zoom link. I apologize.
There we go. All right. Well, we got it. I was just getting ready to send you the other one. So
Okay.
as we were going, but so Callie, finish what you were saying. I'm sorry about the online courses through horse class.
Yes. Well, we've created over 20 different programs now at this point, over 13 years, and we keep looking for, really what we love to do at horse class is just share knowledge of incredible teachers across the equestrian world to people around the world that wouldn't always be able to come and work in person. So I will let the two of you start in on the content and what everyone is here to learn today, but I will just leave the little plug as make sure you stay on, because there's something new coming up that we're going to be doing with Patrick and Jim. So more on that at the end, but they've got a really good class in store for you.
I'd love to hear about that.
I think it'll be great to hear about, right?
We'll send
It'll
you the
be great
details,
to hear
Jim.
Yeah.
about. Here we go.
Well,
Let me see if I can.
yeah, it's
Oh, look.
very similar to what we did last year together, right? But with
Yeah,
an added twist to it. So
that's it.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So I want to again welcome everybody. Thank you guys for tuning in. As we said, episode 70 of Talking About Horses. Can you believe that, Jim? 70 of
Wow.
these already. And thank
A
you.
lot
You've
of
been on here
talking.
with me a few times now. So
Yeah.
this is really great. So I'm excited to have you with us. And we're excited to have our special guest on here, Callie, joining us as well. So we did our tap dance show while you were going through traffic to get
that's
here, but
good.
you missed it.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to watch the replay.
I missed it. Well, the traffic in Iowa can be pretty brutal. Like when all 10 cars show up at the same time.
That's great. That's great. I love it. I love it. So, Jim, today we wanted to talk about, and of course, we're going to talk about lots of things, but one of the big things we wanted to talk about is what tension looks like in horses, right? What it looks and feels like in horses from
Mm-hmm.
both the bodywork perspective and the training perspective. And tension, helping horses unlock and dissolve tension is. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's probably one of the biggest things that you're doing, right? So talk to me about that.
Well, what does it look like from a body worker's point of view is what you can, well, I guess with this type of body work is what you can feel as you're asking for movement in the horse, going through the body, asking for movement in the pole and the neck and the limbs and the trunk. And then there's also what you can see in movement in the horse, or just even sometimes looking at the horse. You just step back and look at the horse, and you can just, your eye will be drawn to some area of the horse that just that looks tighter than another area. And then the other with this type of body work is what the horse tells you, as you go over its body without putting any pressure on it and watching for the responses.
Mm-hmm.
But also, not just when you're stepping back and looking at the horse, but actually when you're seeing the horse move. Sometimes when the horse is just standing, and you can see where they're in some horses, you'll see where the tension stands out, in the neck or in the lower back. But then when you're watching the horse move too, the more you learn about what to look for, which is, really goes deep with what you do, in watching the horse move. So it's what you can see visually, what you can feel with your hands, and what the horse tells you with its visual cues while you're working on the horse.
And so from the actual physical perspective of that, what would you say that you're feeling?
Feeling when you're asking for movement in the horse?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, when you're coming up into something where you're saying, okay, there's tension there. How do we
what does that look like?
Discriminate between like what's tension, what's immobility, like where is there just
that's
not
a good
movement, or where is there
point.
movement available where it should be?
Yeah, so when we're working on the horse and we're asking for movement, we just ask for the movement is relaxed movement when you're asking for movement in the horse. And I'll use, for example, less scapular release, for example. So we'll pick up the forelimb and we'll support the weight of the leg, and we'll slowly drop the leg so that the scapula moves, against the trunk, relaxes down. And the relaxation is the key part of it, because you can stretch the limb or move the limb, and the horse can just be moving with you or kind of bracing against it. But when you're asking for relaxed movement of the limb, that's where the tension shows up. And the tension can be either physical pain or discomfort, in which case the horse braces and tenses against that pain and or discomfort, or the tension can be just what I call restriction, which is just tightness. So you can have a shortened muscle through repetitive movement, or you can have a sore muscle. And so I just make the distinction between the two. They're two different things. Or restriction in the movement due to a short muscle or a tight muscle, or ligaments that have been injured, and then or tension due to the horse pulling back because it's sore. So the muscle is sore. Does that make a difference? Make sense to you? So there's what I call reaction and restriction. A reaction is when you're asking for movement and then you hit a spot where the horse feels discomfort and they tense and pull back. And then there's restriction where it's just not moving. And one example of restriction would be like when you strain your ankle or sprain your ankle or your wrist or something, as a human. And then at first it hurts when you move it, but over time, after it heals, there's just less movement in that ankle. It takes a long time for that ankle to loosen up, because the ligaments have, or the tendons and ligaments and even muscles have been injured, and there's been inflammation. And then when they heal, they're tight. So it's healed now, but it's now not moving. As opposed to maybe the other reaction is a live reaction to discomfort.
And that's kind of the pulsing restriction.
The pain reaction.
You're talking about the pain reaction.
Pain reaction. Yeah.
Okay.
So I refer to them as reaction, and that's when they tense as a reaction, or just restriction, which is basic stiffness.
Gotcha.
And another example I'll give, if you have a poorly fitting saddle on the horse's back, the horse's back is going to be sore. You're going to take the saddle off, you're going to palpate the back, and they're going to react because the back is sore. If if you don't remedy that and keep putting the same saddle on, pretty soon the horse's back will be sore and it'll be tight. It'll be restricted. And eventually, if you don't remedy that, it's just going to be restricted. You can palpate all you want. They won't feel a thing, but it's not moving over time.
Sure.
Yeah. And the value for me as a body worker to make the distinction between reaction and restriction is there's that time element. If you want to figure out what's causing the tension in the horse's back. So if you use that if you palpate and the horse's back reacts now, then there's whatever's causing it is happening right now. But if you palpate and it's just stuck and there's no movement, no reaction, then it's a longer term or a chronic issue. So the saddle hasn't been remedied for a long time. So that helps you when you're trying to get to the bottom of what's causing the tension in the horse's body. So, just to recap.
If we can't see their head come down, if we can't see their eyes blink, if we can't.
Where did that come from?
That was me.
Like we were joined by Dr. Peters.
Trying to check the back end and I'm creating more distraction.
Oh, that did sound like Dr. Peters. Yeah.
It's
Give
a
him a
party
call.
out here.
Get him in here. So to break it down, like there's tension can be broken into two parts: reaction and restriction. Reaction is whatever's causing it is happening right now. It's causing pain and the horse is tensing against it. Or restriction, which is a longer term chronic thing or an old injury that just causes restriction and lack of movement or range of motion.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. And then I may be wrong about the term, but when we stretch, when we do yoga, when we do things like that, when we go into a movement or a position that causes us to stretch, sometimes like I'm thinking about like some certain hip openers that we'll do and things like that, we'll feel our body, I'll say kind of arguing with us a little bit with that, in that I believe they call it the myotatic reaction or something like that. So that's not necessarily a pain response as much as it's the body saying, I don't feel like I can let go yet. I don't feel like I can.
No, I think that's a pain. That to me, that would be a pain response. So like when I do stretches, they're relaxed stretches. Like I don't, I'll lay on the floor and I'll do a hip opener and I let gravity do the work. Right. But whatever, I'll relax into the movement or the position. And if there's soreness there and I tense against it, I protect it.
Okay.
That would be a reaction.
That's the reaction. Okay.
And then another one is just like, it just doesn't go there anymore. Gotcha. The stretches I do now aren't the same I did 5 years ago. And it's because it's just not moving anymore.
Okay.
It's just not moving.
And so then when we come up into that, spot, like when you're talking about, the saddle has been an issue for so long that now there's just no response. We just wait longer. How do we help the horse to come through that? And how do we understand where there should be movement? Something I was watching Wendy Murdoch teach a clinic many years ago, and she was talking about somebody's injury. And at the time, I don't know if she still does it, but at the time she started the clinics with, tell me about all the injuries that you've had. Right. And everybody made their list. And one gal got on her horse and Wendy went through her notes. And the gal probably didn't make half a lap around the arena. And she said to her, Holly, why didn't you tell me about your right shoulder injury? I was floored. Like, how did she know? Right. Like, she didn't ask the question, why, did you ever have? She said, why didn't you mention that? And the comment that she had made was, when you know where movement is supposed to be, you notice when it isn't.
Yes.
Right. And so when you were talking about stepping back and seeing like, where does your eye get drawn to where something's stuck or something's not moving, that really makes me think about that.
Yeah. Whether the horse is just standing or in the movement, like, I'm not looking for what's wrong. I'm just looking for what doesn't look quite right. Like what's not moving the way it should be looking like it's moving,
And is there sometimes a lack of smoothness or something like that, kind of in the way that the body moves or the way the body appears, or
or sometimes it's just not symmetrical,
Okay.
So maybe she said, why didn't you tell me about the injury in your right shoulder? And Wendy's probably seen enough injuries, that she can see that just looks like, to me, I would call, if it's an old injury, that's restriction. It's not like she's protecting it. It's like
Yeah.
it's just not moving the
Yeah.
same as the other one, or the same as a shoulder should look.
Yeah. And now, would you
as opposed to
approach both
protecting
of those things in the same way?
Yeah,
If
when we're
if it's the
asking,
response from the injury, or if it's just immobile?
yeah. So when you're asking for movement, when you ask for movement and then you soften, you ask for a little more movement. I'm going to go down the neck, for example, hand on the nose, other hand up by the pole, soften both hands. You just ask for a little, whoop, I can't see both hands here, so this is a small screen. You give a little wiggle here, and then you soften and you run your hand down the neck and bring the nose around a little farther. You ask for a little wiggle here. And as you go down the neck, if you hit a spot where there's any kind of tension or lack of movement, you'll feel a bracing. So if it's soreness, the horse will tense and brace, and you soften your hand when that happens, so the horse can let go of some of that bracing. And then you ask again, and it's easier the second time. So, but if it's restriction, like you've gone down the neck and you hit a spot where there's no movement, but there's no reaction, it's just not moving. Like there's two vertebrae that aren't moving. It's not like when you get to a vertebra joint and you ask for the gentle movement, if there's pain in there, they're going to tense, brace, and you're going to soften and allow them to release some of that. If it's just go down and you hit a spot where there's no movement, you soften and you go back and there's still no movement, then you can ask a little more and soften, ask a little more and soften. So you don't want to ask so much that the horse braces against it. You want to ask enough that you can start to loosen it up. So like if I've sprained my finger, which I have, and I ask for and it's still sore, and I ask for the movement, I'm going to say, ouch, and I'm going to back off.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Now, if I have an old injury to a joint, I'm going to ask for movement. It's just not going to move. I can ask for a little more and let go, and more and let go, and more and let go, to kind of loosen it up. But in either case, you're whenever you run into the bracing or the restriction, you ask and soften, and kind of work your way through it. Was
Gotcha.
that your question?
Yeah, I think so. And that, to me, that talks about, or that goes into what I've heard you talk about as the principle of non-resistance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think that's so powerful. I know from the training perspective also, that idea of the principle of non-resistance, I try to think about, excuse me, I try to think about all of the aids that we offer to our horse, all of the questions that we ask of our horse.
Mm-hmm.
I think about it as, what does this mean to you in this moment?
Yeah.
And I think coming to that, even from the bodywork perspective, makes sense. Like, what is this? How does this feel to you in this moment? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And in the training, what does this mean to you in this moment? And maybe the horse says, well, that means, I need to defend myself against that, or I need to whatever. One of the things I was talking about in a recent clinic was when we talk about the aids when it comes to riding our horses. So often people say, well, what are the aids to do this? Or how do I apply my aids when the horse resists in this way? And what we were talking about in this recent clinic was, when you're aiding someone, you're helping them, right?
Yeah.
To offer aid is to offer help, right?
Yeah.
And how often do we see horses, encounter horses, work with them ourselves even, where they don't think of the aids as being helpful?
Yeah.
Right. They think of them as being restricting or dominating, or, something like that.
It's not an aid. It's more of an order.
An order. Yeah. I like to say all the time, there's a difference between education and subjugation, right?
Yes.
It's like, we're not just saying, go do this. At least I try not to say, just go do this. I try to say, can we have a conversation about this? Can you be an active participant, right, in this conversation? It's not, can I pull your head to the left, for example? So kind of like what you were talking about with the feeling and the releasing in the lateral cervical flexion, right? It's not just, can I pull your head to the left? It's, what do you feel when I ask for this? What does this mean to you? Can you be, if I'm asking, say, for a, I don't know, left bend, a left flexion or something like that, from a training perspective, I would think about going into it very much the same as what you're talking about right there. Feel where it is, release, soften a little bit to kind of fly under the radar of what the horse feels as a need for self-preservation.
Yeah. So that word aid is like, you're helping the horse to do what you're asking it to do. You're aiding it. So you're helping it.
And helping them to really understand it. Right.
Yeah. But
That's
a lot
I
of
think that
times when
that's a
you're
big
asking, you think you're asking and you're not asking. Say you're ask and it doesn't happen. Well, you ask more, and
right.
you don't do something different. Like so with the body work and with the work you do, and if it's not working, you do something different, and that different is almost always ask less because you're asking too much, more than the horse can either understand or physically comfortably do.
Yeah, right. I think that makes a lot of sense. More than they understand or more than they can physically comfortably do. That
Yeah, and
makes a lot of sense.
if they're not understanding it, if you're a good trainer, you can work around that. You can get them to understand it. But if it's a
Mm-hmm.
physical issue, you can't get them to.
Right.
You can help them release it, but you can't by asking harder, make it happen because it's going to cause the horse more discomfort to move that, or it's just not going to be moving. It's restricted.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So
Right. That makes sense. And then I like to think about it as that idea of, if we're not forcing it to happen, if we're not fighting it, the horse learns. I believe that my horse should know that they control the pressure. If we talk about the idea of pressure and
oh
release, right, as a baseline of understanding, the
yeah.
horse controls the pressure, but I control the parameters, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if I set up these conditions, they can find the release for themselves into whatever the movement is that we're doing or something like that. So it's more
Yeah.
of a flow, not a
Yeah.
I'm pushing this up against them or that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I think all the time about what you mentioned last year when we were teaching together, that idea that the lighter you go, the deeper they feel it.
Yeah, with the
Right.
with that really light body work that we do, the light pressure,
Yeah.
I've just learned over the years that if you go slower and lighter, they can feel the tension a lot deeper, and that you get a lot deeper release of tension. So,
Mm-hmm.
but like when you said the horse controls the pressure, but you control the parameters. Like, does that mean that if you get into a tug of war with a horse, the horse wins, right? You can't win a tug of war with a horse.
Absolutely.
But you have control of how you're applying the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Is that what
Yep.
you're meaning?
Yeah.
Because I always
Exactly.
say that you can't win a tug of war with a horse. If you want to pull his head around and he doesn't want to, or he's sore, or he's afraid, you can't.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually he wins. If you
Right.
ask often, they'll follow the softening, and then
Mm-hmm.
they'll go there.
Yep.
They'll
To the
want to
degree that
go
they
there
can, right?
to
Or
the degree that they
to the
yeah
degree that they understand,
right
or both.
yeah
Right. I think
to
about
the
that a lot
degree that
with
they
the
physically can
when
Mhm.
we're say working lateral work with a horse, right? That's something that we can get into a movement and say, well, gosh, I want more reach, I want more stepping under, I want more driving behind. So then
Uh-huh.
we've got to ask ourselves the question: is the horse actually understanding the question?
Yeah.
Right. Like, and so I'm always thinking, could they go out in the paddock and explain to their friends what the
Yeah.
exercise was? Or would they just
Yeah.
go out and say, I don't know, I was shoved around,
Yeah,
that he
I
was
don't know
pulling on my
I
face
don't know
and he
what the
was
heck he was
cranking with the
doing.
whip and he was
Yeah.
pushing with his leg and he was sweating
Mhm.
just as much as I was, right? But I don't know what we were supposed to be doing, right? Is that
Yeah.
what he would say? Or would he say,
Mhm.
when this happened, he was asking me for more of this. Here's where
Mhm.
I needed to be in balance and here's how I needed to be stepping. So first I
Mhm.
ask, do they actually understand?
Yeah.
And then we also have to ask, if I want more and I can't get more, the answer is not more leg.
Yeah.
That's almost
Right.
never the actual answer to working with a
Mhm.
horse. I don't care what we're doing. That's almost
Yeah.
never more leg, right?
Yeah.
It's maybe more understanding, but then from the
Mhm.
physical perspective, it would be what we need is instead more freedom, more ability, more,
Mhm.
a lack of restriction in there.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
so I think that's really
You need
important to
more
think
you need more release of tension,
more.
you know?
Yeah, exactly. More release of tension.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is a kind of a more of less. So
More or
that
less.
I would say
Exactly.
less is more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's so much about it. And I see this in the work that you do. Uh, the horse has to feel good about it.
Mhm.
Right. And this is where, like, it would be fun to be joined by Dr. Peters. Maybe we'll have to do that one day in
Oh
a
yeah.
conversation. But
Yeah.
if we put the horse up against something where they feel the need to protect themselves, whether
Mhm.
it's body work or whether it's training, then
Yeah.
now we're trying to override neurology, right? We're trying to override the nervous system needing, as far as it's concerned, needing to protect itself. And from the simple perspective, if they resisted against it in the past and they lived, the brain, the nervous system says, yep, that was the right thing because we're still alive. Right.
Yeah,
whether it's trailer loading or whether it's
yeah.
tuning out and saying nothing about poor saddle fit.
Tuning out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a recent conversation with Dr. Peters because I call him every once in a while, and he's open to having me call him because it's a new area for him. The physical, he's always looked at the nervous system and the horse's brain from a training point of view. So now I ask him questions about what's going on physically with the body when it's releasing or if it's bracing or whatever. So he's always open to having that conversation because he starts thinking in those terms. So it's fun. But anyways, where was I going?
Fun.
Oh yeah, so he says the horse, it has a false positive bias, right? And it took me a while to figure out that means. To a horse, everything is a threat until it proven otherwise. Everything the horse sees is a potential threat, potential threat to their security and safety until it's they learn otherwise or proven otherwise or they learn otherwise. And so they go in with a prediction that.
Oh, I don't know about you guys, but it looks like Jim froze up on my end here.
Insecurity. And then when the prediction doesn't come true, was I cut off for a minute there?
Or you were.
Okay,
exactly.
Good. Okay. Yeah, because you kind of got all pixelated, and then you were in another dimension for a second.
Somebody in the chat says that it's the Iowa internet.
Yeah, might be. Yeah. Well, the wind stopped, and that wind, the windmill, and one of the oxen stopped pulling that thing around too, so we lost our power.
Exactly, that's what it is. That's what it is.
So I was having a conversation. He was talking about the predictability, and I don't know where you left off, but
the false
positive bias. So that to the horse, everything in a situation is a potential threat until it learns otherwise. Okay, so they're predicting, in a sense, they're predicting danger, and when that danger doesn't happen, when that prediction doesn't happen, that registers in their nervous system, and then they go, oh, next time I'm in this situation, I don't have to predict that. So that was interesting. And we were talking in terms of body work, where when you're asking for movement and the horse is predicting pain or it's feeling pain, but I think the horse is actually feeling pain. But anyways, that was interesting when he said that term predictability came in. When the horse doesn't happen, that's when they learn it's safe now. It's when you make them do it anyways that they don't learn that it's safe, and then the next time it'll happen again, and the next time it'll happen again. They'll do it, but they're doing it out of fear and resistance, mental resistance. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. And I love that word predictability when it comes to talking about it this way. That's something that I talk to riders about all the time, is when the horse anticipates, when they expect there's going to be, say, a battle, whether it's, my students are going to laugh at this, but I'll use trailer loading as an example. They're going to laugh because I always use trailer loading as an example. But that idea of, you're working with a horse to help them load into a trailer. They are pretty sure that there's a fight that's going to happen, right? So because that's past life experience for the horse. So they get into the situation with you, and you're working with them, and things are okay. Things are going great. They're starting to understand a little bit more. You look at your watch and you realize that you're late for lunch with Susie or whatever. And so then you start to pull, you start to force, and the horse says, see, I told you so. Right. So just at the point where they started to feel like, oh, I can trust that this is going to be okay, then we up the pressure, we amplify, we make things worse, whatever it is, whatever the situation is. And the horse says, see, I told you so. And so then in that situation, they start to relax and start to say, hey, maybe I'm going to be okay. And then we jump in and basically say, I lied to you. Now I'm going to force you into this kind of thing. Right. And so then when we try to untrain that resistance, right? Or untrain the misunderstanding, they hang on to it even longer because in the past, when they started to feel okay about things, then things got worse again, right? So I talk about all the time having stubborn patience as a trainer or as a rider. It's like I'm gonna out stubborn the misunderstanding. I'm gonna out stubborn the resistance. And I don't believe stubborn is a word that really fits with horses anyway, but it's one that people throw around a lot.
Yeah, it's in our mind, they're being stubborn.
Exactly. I like to always say they're being thorough. Right.
Yeah, they're
that
being
horse
thorough.
that takes
Yeah.
you 8 hours to load onto the trailer because they pull out every trick they have. They're being thorough to make sure
being
that it's okay.
yeah, but in a sense they're being thorough with their security, right? Everything's got to line up, you know.
That's it. 100%. And why wouldn't they be, right? Like what self-respecting prey animal wouldn't be thorough with their safety?
Yeah. Especially the thoroughbreds.
That's it. That's it.
That must be where that came from. I don't know.
Probably. Exactly. Yeah. They were always really sure.
Yeah. As opposed to the stubborn breds.
That's it. Yeah. You don't hear about those anymore.
Yeah. You don't hear about them.
I think I had one
it's
when I was a kid,
it's interesting that like sometimes you're loading horse on the trailer, and I've learned a lot from doing these clinics with Mark Rashid and Dr. Peters, that about the patients. Like I'll keep horses, keep his attention on the trailer when I'm loading him, but I've given up being in a hurry. You can't be in a hurry and load a horse that's not trained or just trained or used to just getting on. Like, now ours just walk on. But early on, it was like, if you're in a hurry, it's not going to happen. And keep his attention on the trailer and just, he wants to look away. No, just stay here. And then he'll take another step, and you wait and you wait and you think this is never going to happen. And then all the horse, sudden the horse just takes a step, takes another step, and he just gets in. He just gets in. Like, why? Why did he all of a sudden get in? All of a sudden, his nervous system switched from that things are not safe here and it's predictable danger. It's just switched from, well, I guess not. And it gets in.
Yeah.
And the time element is just huge. But, I just learned, if you're in a hurry and you want to load a horse in a hurry you don't load all the time, it's not probably going to work or turn out well.
Not going to try. Yeah, exactly. No. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And, just as you're describing that makes me think about times when, say, we're loading a horse or helping to teach a horse to load, that I might change the subject. We might do it for a little bit and then change the subject. So like when you're talking about keeping the horse focused on the trailer, I would say yes, up to a certain point. And then sometimes just go away and do something else and say, hey, look, you survived that conversation, right? Like you could be there with
Yeah, it's a timing thing a little bit too, because if you're experienced horse trainer, so well, okay, now it's okay to change the subject a little bit. But
go like de-escalate a little bit. And it makes me think of some of the work that I've seen you do with horses, right? When you're working on releasing one thing, and then you might get to a certain point and say, that's good for now, let's go someplace else, and then we'll come back to this. Yeah. Right. So that's something I think that's important from the training perspective also, right? There's a just contextual timeline in there as well.
Yeah. You need to recognize when that time is the right time to do that, I think. So, but there's a lot of things that could be the right time to do it. The horse is rearing up and dragging you all over the yard, right? Maybe that's that's a good time, right? Okay, let's go eat some grass, which is a parasympathetic activity,
Yep.
And then let's just reset. Let's reset, and then just reset and start over. And for example. But otherwise, sometimes, like you said, it's that you want to take away that predictability that the horse is predicting that this is going to be unsafe.
Yeah. I think that's Ray Hunt used to talk a lot about a horse letting down or turning loose. And I think that's the spot he was talking about, was helping the horse feel like they could just let go of those preconceptions of whatever it was. And he would talk about when the horse really turns loose, that you could do anything with them. You could ask them to do anything for you, and they wouldn't, the way that he talked about it and the way that I'm remembering it. So I could be mistranslating, but it's like then the floodgates are open for the conversation, right? The assumptions are gone at that point. So the predictability is that, it's kind of a new predictability. It's like because you're asking, it must be okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Mark talks about, and Dr. Peters, the horse understands what you're asking. It's not just doing it because it's easier, because
right.
there's less pressure here than there, which,
Right.
Is a lot of, it's a step up from making the horse do it under pressure. It's a step up as making a horse do it because there's a little less pressure. But then there's another whole, I think, dimension of that where the horse is doing it because now it understands what you're asking. Now it understands that it's safe. It's not.
Like we talk about the difference between moving into release instead of away from pressure.
Mm-hmm, right.
And that into release, I think, is just as much about, like what you're saying, the conversation.
Yeah, it's a really fine distinction, but it's cool when you get that, the horror, when you get that distinction, they're just doing it because there's a little less pressure, or they're doing it because they actually understand what you're asking and they know it's safe.
Exactly. So we had a question that came in here that I think is really interesting. And I have a thought from a training perspective. And so I'm curious to hear your thought also, Jim, from the bodywork perspective. So B has asked, as a tangent to the discussion on restriction of movement, can you comment a bit on what you might take into consideration for horses that suffer from hypermobility?
Huh.
I'll let you think about that for just a second as I throw in my answer to this.
Do that.
I think from the perspective of hypermobility, the first thing is it has to go back into what we were talking about with knowing where proper movement should be to notice when it's not. And then I think in addition to that, we need to know what would be the limit. So how do we know that it's hypermobility, right? And in that, can we make sure that we're strengthening the stabilizing muscles or the balancing muscles more than what we're focusing on the mobilizing muscles, right? And so maybe the horse says they can, I'll say lateral work, for instance. Maybe the horse says they can reach, I don't know, 6 tracks beyond themselves when they move a hind leg underneath themselves, but we know that that's not good for them. So then we need to be able to have this conversation about here is specifically where I want to place that foot, because if we allow that excess tracking, now we're going to run into destabilizing the body and then potential strain as a result of that. So from the training perspective, I would say that there's a stronger consideration on our part and our discipline of ourselves to be sure that we're only asking, and maybe I'll say only allowing a certain degree of, say, reach or mobility or things like that. I think on our part, there's a whole lot more care that's necessary in that.
Like
what do you think about on the bodywork side?
Well, a hypermobility for me is it's just I guess the technical definition is over movement, right? And does that come from like a neurological problem, or does it come from just a lack of conditioning and lack of strength or conditioning? So from a training standpoint and a bodywork standpoint, from the bodywork standpoint, if something's hypermobile, there may be a neurological aspect to that, but from just a mobility point of view, I think the horse needs to be conditioned I call it balanced in a balanced way. So if I'm working on the horse and it's super tight in one area, say it's super tight in the lumbosacral junction, then it's not able to, the rest, that's not moving properly, the rest of the body it's out of balance. The other parts of the body are going to have to work harder to make up for that lack of healthy mobility in that junction. So they get stuck in the lumbar, they get stuck in the lumbosacral junction, the core muscles tighten up, so they're not able to use their hind end like this. They're paddling. So if this is the pelvis, that it should be moving like this, but it's not. So they're putting a lot of strain on their stifles and their hocks, because they're kind of just pushing without using their whole hind end. So
Yeah.
that would be an imbalance training, what I call imbalance conditioning. I'm sorry, not training, imbalance conditioning. The whole body has to be conditioned together to work to all the parts work together in a healthy fashion. So that's where like cross training comes in, in humans. That's where like just drilling in dressage or anything isn't healthy, because the horse is just using certain muscles all the time, and then they're not working together. And so hypermobility might be where that one part of the body needs to be conditioned. The muscles have to be conditioned in a way that it's working with the rest of the body. Does that make sense?
I think it does.
Yeah. We had a young thoroughbred like this like 25 years ago, that he was a deal, and I didn't know a lot. I wasn't even doing body work yet, but he was all over the place, and he just was like a Gumby horse, so I would say he was hypermobile in his whole body, but he was a character. He was super smart, but like I would tie him to the tree to tack him up, and I think I don't know if I was trying to teach him how to drive then, but he just didn't want to be tied, so he lay down, and just his head was hanging there he's laying down there with his head up the tree, like he could just bend everywhere. But so he needed conditioning. But I guess I'm always a little bit wary of people who over drill the horse, doing the same thing over and over again. That certain parts of the body become really tight, and other parts you're not conditioning the horse in a balanced way, conditioning every part of the horse. But I'm not sure on the hypermobility, because I haven't come across a lot of hypermobility issues when I've been working on horses. I've come across much more, tension, restriction, or reaction, or soreness. But I really haven't come across a lot of hypermobility. So I'm open to learning more about that. But I have come across, talk to chiropractors, and they'll talk about hypermobility, and I don't know whether it's neurological, that there's hypermobility in a joint, or if it's just because there is a lack of muscular conditioning.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and B added.
I don't know if that answered. Sorry, B. I don't know if that answered your question.
A connective tissue defect. And I think that's really defect. I think that's really interesting. Okay. Yeah, and that.
Well, that that could be it. Yeah, either whether it's genetic, or if it's due to an injury, or due to neurological. I don't know. So, but I don't know, from the point of view of how we do body work, if we come across something that's tight or restricted or not moving, we soften, so there's no risk of damaging anything when you use that. But when you come across hypermobility, that might be a connective tissue defect, the only things that we have to go by are pain, reaction, or restriction, or lack of restriction. If something doesn't feel right, then maybe that's you don't overdo it.
Lack of restriction. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
You don't overdo anything with this type of body work. So, but what about in watching a horse move? Would you be able to notice something that looks way too loosey-goosey or not?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's something that we notice from time to time when we're talking, like in this case, about the hypermobility. I think that oftentimes, at least in my experience in seeing it, what the situations that are coming to my mind, at least in this moment, the hypermobility often presents as instability. Right. So like I'll say there's, like you were talking about, the wobble, right? A little bit of wobble that'll happen in there. And again, I'm just generalizing in this moment with situations that are coming to mind. But that's where, to me, I think that does go down to us knowing what normal should feel like, in air quotes, and riding tactfully, or schooling tactfully, to promote to promote that proper movement. You know, something that Bettina
proper
Drummond
movement
used to
to
talk
me.
about was riding for the chiropractics in working the horse, like riding for what the skeleton is supposed to be able to function like.
Yeah.
And that's tricky, right? I mean, that requires a higher degree of education on our part as to what this body in this conformation should, again in air quotes, feel like in its moving, and then asking the delicate questions within that, so that we can support the strengthening, the strengthening of surrounding joints and surrounding muscles to help that happen.
Yeah, that's what I mean when I'm talking about balance, what I call balance conditioning.
Yeah.
You know, and if you're seeing a horse move and you see something that's not quite right, so your attention's drawn to that, or if you're riding or working on the horse and something feels not quite right, your attention's drawn to that. If it's hypermobility, then that's something that's not quite right. If you see, then you need to stop and say, okay, what's going on here?
Exactly. And I think about the times that I've seen that in riders as well, right? Riders that have maybe, we talk about a rider having, say, a supple back. And then we see some riders that would make Gumby look like the Tin Man, right? Because they're so noodly up there and that sort of thing.
Who does? Yeah, who does that parody on the dressage? Is it Tristan Tucker? Does he do that dressage thing? He's
oh my gosh,
all over the place.
Yes,
he's
absolutely.
all over the place. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So a situation like that, right? And that's where I think the idea that you touched on, cross training. I think that for riders in that situation, that can be incredibly helpful to help stabilize where we need more stability, right? So we've got the mobility that's important, but we also have stability that's important. And so
all dressage,
horses as well.
So all dressage riders should every once in a while go out steer roping or something.
Yes, exactly.
Steer roping or
steer wrestling. There you go.
Wrestling, bulldogging.
Bulldogging.
For the rider, And
yeah, exactly. Oh gosh.
Well, I think this, like what we're talking about, is why our two systems meld so well together.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was just thinking about that. That's the kind of the way that we're coming about it, or the way that we're coming to the conversations with the horses, right? As can I help you understand, and can you give this?
Yeah, that's a conversation. Right. Even in the body work, you're having a conversation with the horse. You're not just doing it. You're asking, and the horse is telling you something with its movement or lack of movement, or its bracing, and then you're responding by softening and allowing the horse to let some of that go, and then asking again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, which is exactly what we do in the in-hand work, right? And then offering that ability to release. When I talk to riders about the use of their aids, riders or handlers on the ground, right? Especially since we did our class together last year, I tell riders all the time, apply the aids with a Masterson mindset, right? And apply with that principle of non-resistance. Don't go into it thinking you're going to bang and push and shove around. And so, I think that the two ideas side by side, or hand in hand, right, work really well together. And so that is something we definitely want to let folks know about. We've got something fun coming up again this year, don't we?
We do.
We have our hand in hand.
You just
clinic,
froze.
Right? Uh-oh, did I freeze for you? Uh-oh, and Jim froze here. This is going to be fun in the replay. Froze. Right? Uh-oh, did I freeze for you? Oh, and Jim froze here. This is going to be fun in the replay. Uh-oh, we can hear it there in the after effects on Callie's side.
Oh, are we back?
There we go. I think we are. Is everybody working?
I needed a nap there. I just took a little nap.
Just a little power nap. You feel better?
Yeah, it was a power nap. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So we wanted to announce to everybody that we're opening registration now for our next upcoming hand-in-hand clinic, where we're working, Jim and I together, teaching Masterson body work and the in-hand work, the classical in-hand work, together in the same clinic to benefit the horses and the riders. And we're going to be doing that in October the 9th, 10th, and 11th. That'll be here again in Natural Bridge, Virginia. And Callie's jumped on here again with us. So Callie, you've got some special announcements to make with this idea of the hand-in-hand clinic also, right?
Yeah, well, I remember when you two did the first one last year, and I saw it come through my email, and you literally set the dates at like the week after we had finished booking everything for the trip that we've been doing in Cornwall. And I was like, oh, I really, really want to be there with the two of them working together, because I also just think there's so much connection between the work that each of you do, with releasing the tension, taking it into movement. So I remember I reached out, and this year I was like, I want to be in on this. I want to be there. So we also want to be able to take it to a wider audience. And what we love to do at Horse Class is be able to take these kind of special events and make them available for people around the world. So we are going to be live streaming the entire event, the whole 3 days. And Jim, we did this. It's already been 3 years. It was 23 that we did the last one.
Yeah, and it was great.
Yes.
It's like doing a clinic for a ton of people.
Yeah.
Just like it.
Being able to basically audit, you can
audit from anywhere.
Yes. We put a lot of thought on our side into how we can best set it up. So we have multiple cameras. It's not just, you're not going to be watching from a little camera, up in the corner of the arena. We really, really set it up so that those of you that can't come live in person can come live online and can really get the full learning from being at the event.
I love that. I think that's so exciting, because last year when we did it, Jim, we had obviously a limitation on the number of participants that could be there with their horses, because we want to make sure that we can give individual attention to everybody. And I feel like that worked out so great. And then we also had, because parking and arena size, right, is limited as well. And we wanted to make sure that the audience had some one-on-one opportunities with us in the Q&A sessions and the lectures and that sort of thing. So we limited also the number of folks that could be here live as auditors for that. And we're doing that again this year. And when all of that sold out, and even from people around the world, they were asking if there was a live stream option available. And I was kind of scratching my head like, boy, I have no idea how to handle that. And Callie says, as Callie does,
that.
Just the way that
I can do that.
Into doing these
Callie
online courses, and
Callie says, I've only done that 100 times before.
right. Yeah, we are total amateurs, and so thank goodness she stepped in with the power and the know-how.
Yeah,
that's what I love to do. And now living we all live in different places, and I live even further south, so I have to get better and better at the digital ways we can connect. But I'm excited to be there in person, live streaming it for everyone. And we talked just a little bit at the beginning that, I first got to know both Patrick and then Jim personally. Obviously knew their work for a long time, but got to know them personally making the courses for Horse Class. So for those of you that are newer to this work or that don't yet have both of those courses, we have a bundle that we put together so that you can get started on the courses now. You've got a few months to study, go at your own pace, practice with your horse or any horses that you have access to, because I know we found this at the last live stream that we did with your clinic, Jim. When people came in and they've already been doing some of it, I mean, the level of questions and just the depth that you could go was so much deeper. So,
and it's available to everybody that's watching too, the level of questions and the depth. And you're able to, by then you're going to be asking us challenging questions that we actually have to think about, which is cool.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
As much as I hate thinking, it's way overrated, but I like to do it every once in a while.
Every so often, it's all right. Huh?
Every so often, for special events.
Well, what I love too, like you said, the idea of folks know more, so they're asking questions that they're able to
Mhm.
apply directly with their horses, whether
Yeah.
it's there in person or whether they're streaming online. But then that also stimulates other questions, and it stimulates the what ifs
Mhm.
and the simulations and the what I really love is
Mhm.
that you and I are there together to bounce ideas off of each other also
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
experiment. I don't know about you, but I know that I feel like I learned as much as anyone else did last year when we did that, from the bodywork perspective. And honestly, I from a selfish perspective, I feel like I learn more at every one of the clinics that I teach myself
Mhm.
than
Yeah.
probably everybody else does, because I get the opportunity to work at least mentally with every horse in the arena,
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I like doing these collaborations like this. I learn a lot, so you never stop learning, plus I get paid. So,
There you go.
it's even better.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh gosh. And so I
No,
just
but
want to
it's
I want to
really
bump
cool.
in. Oh, go ahead.
It's
Sorry.
really cool to have a job where you continue learning too. And
Right. Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. I want to throw in one of the comments. We've got actually several comments now that have come in from folks in the chat here. Allison says it was a fantastic clinic last year, and she expects this one to be just as great. No pressure, Jim, but they're already
Okay,
expecting
no
this to
pressure.
be a great one. Not just a good one, but a great one.
Yeah. Okay.
And Sue makes a really good comment. She says, I was blessed to be able to participate in last year's clinic. For those of you considering it, don't wait to sign up. This is an amazing event. And the don't wait to sign up, I think, is really important, because last year we did 2 classes, and the first class filled in just under 8 hours. So I recommend to everybody the opportunity to jump on.
I already told you I bought up all those tickets.
Oh, did you buy them all already? Okay,
Yeah,
good.
the first one.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, well, then it's just you and I. So this is going to be super
Yeah.
fun. We'll live stream it. It'll be, oh man.
Then it's really good we're doing the live stream.
That is
Yeah,
really good
really.
to do the live
Yeah.
stream. Exactly.
I don't think I can afford to buy all those tickets up.
There you go.
So act now.
Exactly. So Sally has asked on here, how do we find out about the horse class courses, and also how to apply for the in-person hand-in-hand clinic? So for the hand-in-hand clinic, for being here in person with Jim and I, that's handinhandclinic.com. I tried to make that as simple as possible for everybody. And Callie, how do people sign up for the live stream option?
I just put the link in the chat, but it looks like it just posted a blank message. So let me put it in again.
Yeah.
We may have
I
to
will-
change this now, Patrick, because Callie's in here now, and it's the hand-in-hand clinic.
There we go. Now
She's bringing it to
another
she's bringing
URL,
it to
another domain name I need to purchase.
Yeah, she's bringing. Yeah, no, yeah, right. She's bringing it to people that can't actually be there.
There you go. Yeah, yeah. This is great.
Yeah, free to move is the bundle and the live stream, so you can free to move hand in hand.
Is it freetomove.com, or is that what they search for? Freetomove.com.
I just put the link in the comments. Freetomove.com.
Okay,
I'm going to check if that one's available, because
oh, okay. I wasn't sure. I don't have the chat thing open, so let me open it here.
Yeah, grab the link, because it's a bit of a comment. training.horseclass.com/FTM-enroll. And if you can remember that whole thing to type it in, we'll give you a special discount.
I'm still trying to remember how to open the chat. So
right, exactly. Oh my gosh, that's funny. And Allison made the joke in the chat here that Jim is scalping.
I'm scalping. Oh yeah, I'm scalping. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Yeah.
I love it.
I hadn't thought of that. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's
and for anyone too, because I see a lot of familiar names in the chat, for anyone that has already taken Jim's course and Patrick's course through Horse Class, check your emails later this evening, because we've got a special deal for you for the live stream.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Can I take advantage of that too when I buy them all up?
Have you taken Patrick's course?
Oh well, I'd taken the hand-in-hand course. I learned a lot.
There you go.
We'll give you a voucher.
Okay, good.
Well, and that's something too, Jim, that you just brought to mind for me here. The the way that it was not just you teaching body work and me teaching the in-hand work. I think for me, one of the more special opportunities there was you doing the in-hand work and me doing the body work also. Right? Like those opportunities when we were working together and you were coaching me and I was coaching you. And, you know, I think that's something that I feel like maybe we don't see that enough, you know, from teachers is being open as students ourselves. Right. So not only were we teaching, but we were also being taught while we were doing that. To me, at least, I know I got so much out of that. And so thank you.
Yeah, it's hard when you're a teacher because you get you get in your thing, and then you have to like consciously be open to other stuff. And sometimes it's hard because, you know, that's what you're doing. Your thing is to teach what you teach. So that is actually, now that I think of it, that'll be fun to do that again with, you know, tons of people watching.
Right? It certainly puts you back in the student mindset of, you know, how some people can get pretty anxious about learning something in front of others. And that's something that, you know, I think teachers can sometimes take that for granted. Right? Because we're so used
especially when you're asked to do it as a teacher. You're asked to be a student.
Yeah.
Then you realize, wow, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So for
it's
me,
okay to be, it's okay to make mistakes.
That I was able to take advantage of, because as much as I love teaching, I love even more being a student, right? And being on that learning side of things. So,
yeah. Well, good. It'll be, I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Likewise. And so a lot of people are asking again about the link. So I will definitely, in the show notes here, I will make sure that I put all these links that Callie has mentioned for the streaming as well as for the registering in person. And we'll be sending those out, as Callie said. Those will go out in several emails as well. So very good.
Well, good. I'm excited.
All right. And so again, for anybody who didn't catch that the first time around, the dates for that's going to be October 9, 10, and 11. And that's going to be in Natural Bridge, Virginia. It's going to be a great, great time. So let's see. And somebody says, all I see is October 2026. What are the actual days? So my timing on that was perfect. Yeah. October 9, 10, and 11 are the days for that. It's going to be, I think it's going to be super fun, just as it was last year. And there's quite a mix of lecture and hands-on work so that we don't overcook anybody, and so that everybody's got the opportunity to really absorb the information.
Yeah, I'm just checking my calendar. I'm available those dates. So good.
Are you? Okay, good. Well, let's do it. Let's do something.
Yeah. What the heck?
Oh, perfect. That's great. Well, Jim, thank you so much again for joining me for another episode here of Talking About Horses. Callie, thank you so much for jumping in with us also and joining us for this very fun episode number 70. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm sorry I was late. I'm apologizing officially. I'm sorry I was late, but
it's okay. We got to talk about you before you got on here. Now you're going to have to watch the replay to hear what we said.
Edit it quickly.
Oh, yeah, right. Oh, yeah. Quick, I'm going to get on quick. Yeah, the traffic's even worse here than Natural Bridge, Virginia. So.
That's funny.
Okay. Well, great. Thanks, you guys.
Well, thank you all so much. And thank you, listeners who caught us live, engaged and interacted in the conversation, in the chats. And thank you if you're catching the replay. We really appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you next time on another episode of Talking About Horses. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.